US President Donald Trump is adamant his country is going well in the wake of his tariff reversal yesterday during a cabinet meeting earlier this morning. But the markets say otherwise. Stock markets in the US are declining again as a reality of a trade war between America and China sets in. The Dow has been trading around 3 to 4% lower than yesterday, while the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 have also seen considerable declines. Neither Washington or Beijing are showing no signs of retreating as the markets prepare for possible uncertainty and more volatility. The White House has confirmed that tariffs imposed on Chinese goods now total 145%. That's up from yesterday, after claiming yesterday's 125% increase was on top of an already pre-existing tariff of 20%. There's the extra 20. But Trump is adamant the two nations can still make a deal.
Would love to be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. They've ripped us off beyond anybody, nobody. How people stood for it, sitting in my position, is not even believable. And we're talking about many presidents, not just a couple. But they did, and all we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. And I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time.
But there has been a sigh of relief, at least when it comes to Europe, as the EU suspends its retaliatory 25% tariffs on the US goods, and that includes motorcycles and fruit as well as soybeans. That's in the wake of Donald Trump's universal 90-day pause. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is hopeful that negotiations will be successful during this next period. Trump praising her decision, calling the EU tough and smart.
Would love to be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. They've ripped us off beyond anybody, nobody. How people stood for it, sitting in my position, is not even believable. And we're talking about many presidents, not just a couple. But they did, and all we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. And I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time.
Tariffs were just one topic discussed during the President's cabinet meeting today. Sky's David Blevins has more now on it from Washington, D.C.
Around the world we went in the space of 90 minutes. Another very lengthy press conference mid-cabinet meeting covering everything from the state of the markets to the potential for trade deals to his hopes in relation to the talks with Iran taking place this weekend and his hopes for a ceasefire in Ukraine. But of course much of the time was taken up with questions about what's going on in the markets as a result of his tariffs policy. He described yesterday as the biggest day in the history of the markets, but used one word rather negatively 3 times. The President spoke about transition difficulties, transition costs, transition problems. Now, he never quite got to the point of defining what he meant by transition, but the only transition I can think of is the one between tariffs being imposed and tariffs being paused then yesterday. Now, he said it's all going to work out well. He didn't take any responsibility at all for the chaos we've witnessed in the markets. Instead, when he got a question about what happened this morning, the drop in the US markets, he deferred to his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who said they were up 10, down 5, not a bad ratio, and he didn't see anything unusual today. He also then deferred to his Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, who said they really didn't have enough hours in the day to deal with the more than 75 countries who are knocking on the door, he claims, seeking a trade deal. The President was asked about how soon some of those deals could take place. He said, I could do it in one day if I want to, but they've got to be good deals. And I think we heard for the first time that he's considering bringing in lawyers from external law firms to help those who now have just 90 days to try and negotiate some of those deals.